There is a place beyond memory where every thought you've ever had, every soul you've ever touched, still echoes in the dark.
There is a library that doesn't live in space or time. You can't walk to it. You won't find it on a map. You can't scan a barcode or swipe a card or scroll through a database. And yet, you've already been there. Maybe in the middle of the night, when your dreams feel more true than your waking life. Or in those still moments when a memory rises, not from this lifetime but from somewhere deeper. A knowing that doesn't come from books or teachers or Google. A silent wisdom that just arrives. This place, or rather this field, has been called many things. But across mystic traditions, esoteric schools, and modern energy science, it has one name that echoes the same feeling: the Akashic Records. Now, forget everything you've been told about mystical archives guarded by angels in the clouds. This is not about fairy tales. This is about something very real, something encoded into the fabric of reality itself. Because what if I told you that everything you've ever thought, felt, chosen, feared, avoided, or silently hoped for still exists? Not metaphorically, energetically, vibrationally, etched into a living field that remembers it all. The Akashic Records are not a history book gathering dust in some cosmic attic. They are a living, breathing field of consciousness. A mirror that reflects your soul's entire journey, not just this life, but every one you've ever lived, every possibility you could have followed, every emotion you didn't know how to name. Let's pause here and reflect. Have you ever felt like something was guiding you, even when you didn't know what you were doing? Ever had a moment where the path just unfolded, like it was already written? That's not magic. That's memory. Not the memory of your mind, but the memory of your essence. So what is this mysterious field? To understand the Akashic Records, we need to look at the root of the word Akasha. It comes from ancient Sanskrit. It means ether, the fifth element. Beyond earth, water, fire, and air, the ancients believed in a fifth essence. Invisible, intangible, but omnipresent. Akasha is the space that holds everything. It's not empty, it's alive. Think of it like this. If matter is the hardware of reality, Akasha is the operating system. You can't see it, but it runs the show behind the scenes. It holds the code, the programs, the blueprints of everything that ever existed, and everything that could still unfold. Strange idea? Not really. Even modern science is catching on. Theoretical physicist Ervin Laszlo, nominated twice for the Nobel Peace Prize, introduced the concept of the Akashic field, what he calls an informed universe. According to him, the cosmos is not just particles floating in empty space. It's more like a giant holographic information system, storing the memory of all things, everywhere, across time. He writes, "The Akashic field is like a cosmic internet, connecting everything to everything else." So let's use that metaphor. If the Akashic Records are the internet of the soul, then your thoughts, choices, emotions are your search history. And no, you can't clear the cache. But this isn't about surveillance. It's not about judgment. It's about consciousness evolving through experience, through you. You see, you're not just a visitor in the records. You're a writer. Right now, in this very moment, you're adding lines to the story. Every decision you make, every pattern you repeat, every healing you undertake, it all echoes into the field. Your being is a signature, like a song the universe never stops listening to. Let that sink in. You're not just part of a story. You are co-authoring it. Now ask yourself, if the universe is recording everything, not to shame or punish, but to reflect and remember, what does that mean about the patterns in your life? That recurring relationship dynamic? That emotion you can't seem to shake? That strange feeling that you've been somewhere before, or known someone long before you met them? Maybe it's not just in your head. Maybe it's in the field. And this brings us to a powerful realization. Most people live disconnected from this memory field. We think we're starting from zero. We think the past is dead, that it disappears once we forget it. But nothing is really forgotten. It's just buried beneath layers of conditioning, distraction, and noise. The Akashic field is like the deep ocean of your consciousness. And most of us are skimming across the surface on a speedboat, never realizing the ancient temples that lie beneath the waves. So how do we dive deeper? It begins with presence. with awareness, with slowing down enough to feel what's already here. You don't need a guru. You don't need a psychic hotline. You need silence, stillness, and a willingness to feel what's been trying to speak to you for lifetimes. It could come as a whisper in meditation, a symbol in a dream, a deep pull toward a certain place or person or path that makes no logical sense but feels like destiny. And maybe it is. You see, the Akashic Records are not somewhere else. They're woven into you, into your DNA, your intuition, your inner knowing. So why do we call this forbidden knowledge? Simple. Because when a person remembers who they truly are, when they realize that their soul has been evolving across lifetimes, that they are not broken or random but intentional, they become uncontrollable. Fear no longer works. Manipulation loses its power. And external authority becomes irrelevant. Because now, you remember. And no one can take that from you. If the Akashic Records are the soul's library, then your body is the library card. Not the mind, not logic, but your actual living, breathing body with all its sensations, instincts, and emotional undercurrents. It sounds strange, but think about it. When something resonates, where do you feel it? Not in your brain, in your chest, your gut. Sometimes your entire body responds to truth. Chills, tears, that electric feeling when something just clicks. You don't analyze it. You recognize it. This is not coincidence. It's design. Your body is not just a vessel. It's a tuning fork, always vibrating, always sensing, always in dialogue with the field. And the records? They speak in vibration. That's why you don't read them with your eyes. You feel them with your nervous system. This is why healing your emotional body is not just personal development. It's access work. Every suppressed emotion, every buried wound, every forgotten truth in your system is like static on the signal. It doesn't mean you're blocked. It means you're being invited to clear the line. So let's get practical for a moment. What if I told you your DNA is not just a biological code, but an energetic receptor? According to epigenetics, your environment, beliefs, and emotions affect the expression of your genes. Now extend that insight. What if your beliefs, especially the deep, unconscious ones, are literally shaping how well you tune into this universal memory? Not by thinking positively, but by feeling truthfully. You see, the records don't require you to be perfect. They require you to be honest with yourself, with your patterns, with your emotional landscape. Have you ever noticed how your biggest breakthroughs often come after emotional breakdowns? That's not failure. That's the veil thinning. Because when you allow your pain to surface without judgment, when you stop performing and start listening, that's when the records start speaking back. Not in words, in symbols, in dreams, in uncanny synchronicities that echo something ancient, something you can't quite explain but feel in your bones. And here's the secret. You've already accessed them. That flash of insight in the shower, that déjà vu that stopped you mid-sentence, that moment when you knew what someone was going to say before they said it. The Akashic field is not out there. It's in here and right here. But access requires coherence, not in your behavior, in your state. Coherence is when your mind, heart, and body are in agreement. When you're not fragmented by overthinking, guilt, or reactivity, but present, clear. So, imagine a radio dial. The signal is always broadcasting. But unless you turn the knob, unless you find the frequency, all you'll hear is static. Meditation, deep breathing, somatic awareness. These are your tuning knobs. They don't create access. They restore it. Because remember, you were born with it. You came into this world connected to the field. But as life layered over you, expectations, trauma, conditioning, the signal got muffled. The work isn't about becoming something new. It's about remembering who you already are. So next time you feel something stir inside you, a deep pull, an unexplainable knowing, a grief that has no name, don't dismiss it. Ask yourself, is this mine, or is this older than me? What if this feeling is a doorway? What if I'm not broken, just remembering something I promised not to forget? Your soul did not come here to live on autopilot. It came here to activate. And your emotions are not obstacles. They are the access codes. So if the Akashic Records are real, and your body is the antenna, then how do you actually access them? You don't need a ceremony. You don't need a guru. You don't even need to believe in the records. You need one thing: presence. You see, the records are not something you go get. They're something you remember. And remembering doesn't happen in the future. It only ever happens now. That's why almost every spiritual tradition, from Christian mystics to Buddhist monks, speaks of silence, stillness, solitude, not as escapes but as doors. In those quiet moments, when the noise drops, when the performance stops, that's when something deeper begins to speak. Some call it the Holy Spirit. Some call it the higher self. Some just call it intuition. But what if these are all translations of the same current? The same eternal field of memory, filtered through different minds, cultures, and languages? Let's get practical. You can start by creating what I call a window of stillness. 5 minutes a day. Just 5. No agenda. No technique. Just observation. Sit down. Breathe. Feel your heartbeat. Notice your thoughts without trying to change them. And ask, what wants to be remembered through me today? That's it. You might feel nothing. You might cry. You might hear something that sounds like your own voice, but clearer, deeper, wiser. That's the beginning. Then start paying attention to what happens after those moments. The symbols that return. The names that repeat. The ideas that flood in when you're not trying. The records often don't come through lightning. They come through patterns. And that's how you know it's not fantasy. It's resonance. There's a beautiful passage in the book of Job. There is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives them understanding. Job 32 verse 8. That's the essence of the records. Not facts, but understanding. Not information, but illumination. And here's where it gets profound. Many people assume accessing the records means knowing everything. Far from it. It often means becoming comfortable with mystery, holding the paradox, trusting the process even when you can't explain it. Because the records don't exist to satisfy curiosity. They exist to evolve you, to help you remember who you are, why you're here, and what you agreed to heal in this lifetime. Sometimes that remembering will come gently, a whisper, a dream, a déjà vu. Sometimes it will come through challenge, heartbreak, loss, being cracked open so light can finally enter. But either way, the records are always responding, not to your mind, but to your state. So ask yourself honestly, are you asking out of fear or out of readiness? Do you want control or do you want truth? Because truth may not always be comfortable, but it's always freeing. You don't access the Akashic Records to escape your life. You access them to finally step into it, with clarity, with purpose, with a soul that's awake. And here's the most important part. You don't need to be psychic. You don't need to chant in Sanskrit. You don't need to know what a past life is. You just need to listen to your body, to your emotions, to the subtle invitations life keeps sending you every single day. The records are not above you. They are within you. You are the book. You are the reader. You are the pen. So, what do you want to remember? What pattern are you ready to break? What truth are you finally willing to face? What inner contract are you ready to rewrite? Because every time you choose presence over reactivity, every time you honor intuition over doubt, every time you trust your inner resonance instead of chasing external proof, you turn another page in your soul's book. And slowly, quietly, powerfully, you begin to live the story you were born to remember. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to sit with it, not just mentally but emotionally. And if something stirred in your heart, leave a comment, share your thoughts. Let's remember together. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this, and share this with someone who may be quietly searching for answers they forgot they already had. Because the records don't belong to a few. They belong to you, and they've been waiting.